Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Stephen and Christopher hear you with the 117th episode of Shochu'sday. From both of us here in Japan, we're reminding you to sip slowly and sip honkaku kanpai, first
Kanpai.
kanpai of the morning here in Japan, 10 a.m., 10:01, and we are going to bring you another episode of updates, news, backgrounder information, insider information on things in the spirits industry here in Japan. How you doing, Steven?
I'm doing well. Got a good night's sleep last night, so feeling pretty good. Been,
Always helpful.
yep, been planning to travel back to the U.S., and that's always stressful. But I think I got things organized and started to pack, even though it's 2 days away. I'm just that kind of person, I guess. I
Oh
used to be a
no, I
last
think,
minute packer.
and then you're gonna forget stuff. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
still forget stuff, but they got stores in the U.S. Fortunately,
yep.
you know.
Do you have
But
any packing tips for travel? Do you have any like your own way of doing things?
yeah, I mean, well, a couple things that I learned was one is if you roll clothes rather than folding them, you get a lot more in your luggage. That's
Uh
a
huh.
that's a good tip. And then in that case, you want to buy things that are wrinkle free or like you can wear right out of the suitcase. And then the other thing is like you're always going to pack too much, so just think carefully about what can serve double duty. Especially for a long trip that you're going to spend a lot of time in hotel rooms. Like what's going to easily be hand washed in a sink, hung out
Yeah.
to dry, and will be ready to leave the next morning. Those kinds of
Yep.
things I think is pretty vital. Just yeah, multi-use items. Don't carry a straw hat. That's a good one. That thing's just going to get crushed or lost or something. So
Yep.
and
Yep.
then and then what will you be buying on your trip that will replace things that you were planning on taking with you? How many pairs
Mm-hmm.
of shoes do you really need? You and I both have Cole Haan obsessions, so
Right.
I always go
Right.
with Cole Haan when I'm back in the States. So do I really need to bring 3 pairs of shoes with me on the trip, or do I just need one and an early trip to Cole Haan?
Yep.
These kinds of things, right?
Yep.
So how
Very
about how
good.
about you? What do you have travel tips for people?
I this is kind of this is I don't think I'm the only one. I might be one of the only people who admits this. I like to bring old underwear with me on trips, and then I discard the underwear periodically throughout the trip as I'm going to different. So I use it as a way to kind of cull the herd and get rid of the stuff that really needs to be left behind. That
Yep.
those that need to be left behind are left behind. It creates more space little by little in the luggage, and that's one of my little tricks. I have run into only one other person, somebody who came to Japan and did one of my old sake and shochu tastings, the side by side
Mm,
tastings here in
yep.
Tokyo, and he's the only other person who admitted to openly to doing that, and his wife was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe he's saying this to somebody else." I'm like, "No, I do the same thing." It was a meeting of the minds. But anyways, yeah, that's my little
No,
tip for folks who are going to
that,
be traveling.
that's a great one, and I wish we would have talked about a week or so ago because I just replaced most of my undergarments, shall we say. And I think I still have a few of the old ones left, so maybe that's going to become part of my packing strategy now
Yeah,
to create more
yep,
room.
yep,
The other
little
thing
by
I've
little.
been contemplating is I think the checked bag situation on domestic flights is so difficult, so painful.
Yeah,
So
they're going to get you.
another thing is like if you're traveling to back to the States and then bouncing around a little bit, find yourself a home base where you can leave your big suitcase and then just travel light and return to that home base when you can, that kind
Yep,
of thing.
yeah,
So just make sure you bring enough underwear on your side trips. So
yeah. Mark Carlson has a travel tip for going to Japan. You know, buy the furoshiki, no paper towels, no hand blowers in the bathrooms. So that's important
yep,
to have something to. We have clothing too, Mark. You can just that's what shirts and pants are for. But anyway, yeah, no, great. Yeah, get a little hand towel. They
yep.
sell them everywhere. Every convenience store sells them, and a lot of Japanese folks, a lot of people who live in Japan carry them on their person in their bag to make sure they have something
Yeah.
pat dry with. A good
It's
good call.
almost the same idea as a handkerchief, right? In a way, it's
Yep,
just like
it
having
is.
a cloth handy clean up
Except for
messes.
people do not blow their noses into them like
No,
old school
no,
states, man. Wow.
right.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
pretty
You,
gross.
you don't want to wash your hands with that after you blow your nose, right?
Yeah. So okay, we got another. Let's go through another one of these right now. Mark is also drinking Tengu Zakura Yakiimo 35. Excellent choice,
Nice, nice.
as always, Mark. And another comment here. Just listen to some of your old Sake on Air episodes. Thank you for going through those old podcasts. Yeah, there's a lot of quality there. A lot of quality. Just getting restarted over there. And this brings us to the second banner of the morning, I think, which is, well, it's a ticker tape, isn't it? But basically, the
Yeah.
new episode. Steven, can you tell us what happened? I think it went live on the 12th over here,
It
anyway.
it did. We were a little bit slow. We released it late last week. Our episode on yeast, which I actually think is one of our more foundational episodes. I realized that we were setting such basic groundwork in season 1 on the podcast, where we were just going through what's sweet potato shochu, what's shochu, how does it differ from sake, how does it differ from soju, things like that. And now we're really getting into the nitty gritty and like giving people, I think, a much deeper understanding of the specifics of different aspects of the process of making it.
Yeah.
And between this and the cuts episode, and what did we do? A koji episode. I think those were really the ones that stand out to me as being critically foundational to your understanding of how these drinks are made.
Yep. So thank you for that segue there. I think that was a good segue back to our own Japan Distilled podcast. Go to japandistilled.com to listen to the most recent episode about yeast, and it is crucial to everything that is in your glass, and we'll just put it that way. And as we argue, perhaps and probably more so than the koji itself, in terms of what you can, from a sensory perspective, what you can actually smell. And speaking of koji, we do have, at the risk of finding a rabbit hole here, we got a nice long question here. For koji, are yellow, white, and black koji specific strains of koji, such that everyone using, say, black koji is using the exact same thing? Or are there substrains of black, white, and yellow koji?
Yeah,
And
Christopher,
the answer is absolutely.
You just visited a koji maker, didn't you? So.
I did just go to a koji maker. They work exclusively in black koji because I was in Okinawa. And absolutely, there are substrains of these general baskets, these families of the so-called kuro, black, shiro, white, ki, yellow, koji families. And some of them are in-house strains, ones that have been isolated in a lab that is owned by a particular distillery, usually a large distillery, that they deploy almost exclusively in-house. And then there are others that have been discovered in-house, like the Miyazaki yeast strain that was discovered at Shodo Distillery and now is used prefectural-wide, distributed by a government, quasi-government agency, laboratory that helps them to maintain the purity of that koji strain. So yeah, there's just like anything else. There are strains, there are families, there are branches, there's a tree.
Yep. Just to clarify, Christopher said Miyazaki yeast, but that's obviously a yeast.
Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, not a koji strain.
But for example, at Yamato Zakura, Tekkan will use different quality koji depending on which product he's making. So you'll have like the standard. I just see the packaging. I haven't been to a koji maker, but the packaging will be like a standard package, and then there's like the gold package, and then there's a special gold package, right? And those are different those strains.
Often, and sometimes they're blends. For instance, the koji maker that I just went to, they said, this particular distillery for this particular brand will want 30% of this type of black koji and 70% of this type of black koji blended together for that particular brand. So it can be a brand by brand thing, as you said, with Yamato Zakura. It can be a distillery by distillery thing. It's there's a lot of diversity there. So yeah, I think the simple answer is absolutely.
Sounds like it's time for another koji episode.
It might be. Yeah, we're gonna. I mean, visiting. I'm excited to take you there more so than anybody else, because it's just kind of like, okay, this fills in some gaps. But yeah, this is damn. There's a lot of stuff. People are drinking good things here.
Yeah.
We'll open Yokkakoji Awamori later this evening. Tanoshimi ni. Yeah, that's we're
Lucky,
excited
lucky.
about that. Our new one, of our first ever Awamori in the Honkaku Spirits portfolio. Probably the craziest Awamori now available in the United States. Enjoy. It is deep. It has character for days, so you're gonna enjoy that one. The early word on that one from some bartenders is that it plays very, very well with coffee. I expect
Oh,
to see
nice.
some espresso martinis coming back into the fold.
Yeah.
Yeah, love to learn it. Thank you very much. And let's try to get into what we were going to talk about today because we're 10 minutes in. Okay,
10
I'm
minutes
gonna
in. Yeah.
let's
I would just, yeah. No, we can come back to a couple of these later, but
Sure,
absolutely.
yeah. Just to give a quick recap, I've been on the road for the last 10 days. Just got back last night, and I was in Kagoshima and then in Okinawa. And I guess the update is for those of you scheming trips back to Japan, which who knows? I mean, it's opening, the borders are relaxing. I know that's a bunch of BS because I know it's like group tours only, or you have to be on a business visa, that sort of thing. But it's slowly getting better and better. We hope that it will continue to be so and do so. But when you can get back here, a couple of new things. Some of you will remember Yataimura, or the little, street stall. They're quote unquote street stalls with heavy, heavy air quotes. Street stalls, and these little networks, these little villages, Yataimura, that have been put together in various parts of Japan. The one that was nearest and dearest to our hearts, at least as far as Shochu'sday is concerned, was in Kagoshima Prefecture. It was Kagoma Yataimura, and that got crushed at the end of 2020. Not because of Corona, interestingly enough, it was because the land that it was built on was too valuable, and they wanted to develop it. They didn't want one floor of commerce there; they wanted several floors of commerce. So that disappeared for a while, and it was a lot of fun. We loved it because they were these little 8-person huts that you could go in and have this great experience, local cuisine, local shochu, and there were 26, 27 of them, and they were all different. And they had a stamp rally, so you go and get a stamp from each one, and then you would get one of these yakusugi pendants. They smells like a spa basically, and you could get your name etched in it. And if you had one of these pendants, then you could go and get free drinks for the next calendar year. It was pretty cool, and that disappeared. Now, in the interim, and Stephen and I talked about this before, in Kumamoto there's a new one. Kumamoto City has a new Yataimura, which is we both went to together. It was a lot of fun. I think it's got a lot of potential. And the good news is that the Yataimura in Kagoshima has been resurrected, so to speak. And now it's kind of it's all indoors, which this is going to divide the room.
Not this one.
And not this one. We're happy that we're happy that it's back. We're not happy that it's inside. And the one in Kagoshima is separate too. There's the one in Laika, which is that new development right next to the station. That's on the first floor. I think there's like 5 or 6 or 7 shops in there, and you and I have been to a couple of them already.
Yep.
And now that has been expanded, so to speak, with across the street. You have to cross a street, which I don't recommend when you're tying one on. Yeah, but then you go down under. You go to the Solaria Hotel building, which is a beautiful hotel if you ever want to stay right near the station. B1, so the first basement floor under that is this new, like, it's probably about close to 20, maybe 18 to 20 new yatai. All underground. And you know what? Honestly, it's good in a different way because it's very spacious. And while the yatai themselves are very similar in size to the previous ones, there's 8 seats inside, there's a couple of tables outside. There's just a lot more movement room in between the yatai. It's not as rammed together. And so that's kind of a good thing. The stamp rally is back. And if you still have one of these old pendants from 2020, you can still use it. They've allowed that to carry over. So it's back, and that's fun. And it's not going to be something you would avoid. It's somewhere you would go if it's raining buckets. Whereas in
Sure.
the past at Yataimura, it's like it's raining buckets. It's like pouring down. You might not go to Yataimura
Right.
because you're
Right.
gonna get drenched
Yep.
going between the shops. So it's fun. I'm happy overall. I
Yep.
wish it was
Yep.
outside, but it's a
Yeah.
positive thing, I think.
Yeah. It
And
is a little bit of a compromise. Like indoors, you avoid the elements. You also are going to end up with a space that remains clean for longer.
true.
Right? It's gonna stay in better condition for longer. The yatai in Fukuoka, which are these little hand trucks that people cart out into the sidewalks every evening and then cart home late at night or park them in a parking lot or whatever. Those things get really dilapidated over time, right?
Yeah, they do.
And
Yeah,
so
they
they
do.
get little scuzzy, some of the older ones.
Yeah.
So now they're fun, but they're
Yeah.
you gotta choose wisely, I guess. Where something like this, it's gonna have to live up to health codes. It's gonna be stay
Yep.
clean longer and that sort of thing. So I'm looking forward to visiting. Haven't been yet. Was hoping to. I thought briefly about going the day that they were opening, and then I realized rightly after talking with you that was just going to be insane
Shit show.
to so crowded.
Yeah.
But I'll get down there hopefully before the end of the year.
Yeah, I went a couple of times because I just wanted to say hi to people who were from previous generations of Yataimura and say, hey, welcome back. How's it going? And it seemed like the day drinking quotient is high. There's a lot of folks who end up there in the afternoon to start their Sundays, which is fun. And it has some of the vibe from before. There's something new, which is maybe taking a page out of Kumamoto's book, which is there's kind of a beer focused one that is local craft. Right it when you go into the new B1 under the bus station is right there in front when you come down the right on the side when you come down the escalator. And it's interesting. They've got a little bit more diversity, I would say, than they had in the previous generation of Kagoshima Yataimura. So it's all positive, and I think hopefully it's something that's going to live for a long time. And me and stamp rallies, so I'm going to be there without question. And so I guess that's the new. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Do you have to get the stamps at both locations? Do you have to cross the street?
If you want to, it's the same. It's pretty much this. You know what? It's not the same as before. I take that back. There's I need to figure out where I put my card. But there's they've got this new way of doing it where they've got the stamp set up in kind of a bingo board, so that there's different combinations that you can put together to win a glass, or to get your free glass or whatever. If you get them all, they're gonna bring the pendants back, so you'll get a new Yakusugi pendant where you can have your name or whatever, or some short saying etched into the back.
Okay.
So that's coming back, which I think was one of the best things going there, and a lot of people really got into it. I mean, I'm an avid collector of those things, and I met regulars who had dozens of the damn pendants of those Yakusugi pendants. They had a whole bundle of them in their bag that they would bust out whenever the conversation came up. I was like, wow, that's like a good 20 of them you have in that bundle. And they would probably rarely use them too. I mean, it's like, you're saving 200 yen. But anyways, yeah, it's coming back. So definitely put that on the bucket list for when you make it down to Kagoshima, everyone. And then when you go further south, an announcement about Okinawa, which I just returned from, if I can make the switch over, because we're at 19 minutes, is in the airport, in Naha Airport, at check-in for domestic. If you go into the ANA counters, domestic check-in, can't remember second. I guess it's the third floor, isn't it? You go in there, you can check in. They have those little portal machines where you can check in, you can change your seat, you can check your mileage, all these things. And if you go to the left, kind of around, there's a little corridor that bends around to the left. Right behind that wall is this new Awamori bar, which it's sponsored by the Awamori Makers Association. And you'll know it when you see their new logo. It's the Japanese hiragana "a" in a circle. It looks almost like a basketball. Don't tell them I said that, but it looks kind of like a basketball. And there's a little tachinomi standing bar where you can try. They have. I mean, I yesterday on my way out of Okinawa before I got on my plane, I got the Haisai A set, and the A set allows you to choose 2 awamori from their list, and they're probably close to 30 on the list that you can choose from, and then you get a little snack, and they gave me some Okinawan kokuto to go with my 2 glasses of mizuwari that I sipped slowly while talking to the guy behind the counter, and it's cool. I mean, you and I have been talking about this. I have specifically gone down there and berated them for not having a more forward presence at the airport, where people were, that's your last chance before people leave to put this idea in their head. Remember, Okinawa and Awamori go together, and so I was hoping, this is step one, I was hoping that there was going to be a lot more free sampling. This is actually more like a bar where you do actually pay for things. They have a number of awamori there. You can buy bottles there too. They have some kind of limited stuff that is a lot of Okinawa gente or Okinawa limited product. I think it's worth looking at. I think it's worth a stop. I paid,
Absolutely.
I think it was 1,100 yen for my set. They have a B set, which is a glass of awamori, a draft beer, and a snack. So you can, they have a draft. You can buy beer by the glass too if you just want a beer before the flight or after the flight, whatever.
Yeah.
So
Okinawan Boilermaker.
cool.
Nice.
That's kind of what it's getting down to. So
Yeah,
that was
that's
good
cool.
to see. That just opened at the end of last month as well. So
Okay.
two new things have
great.
blossomed in the world in July, which are fun.
Great to know. And so that's outside of security, is that right? So before
It
you
is
go
outside.
through.
It's before you
Okay.
go through security. Yep.
All right, definitely have to look
So-
for that next time. Every time I'm in the Okinawa airport, I hunt around hoping to find like some hidden gem somewhere that's got something, and it's never there. So good to know that
Nope.
they're making strides. So
There were a
that's
number of us
great.
that were clamoring for that for years, and finally, while it's not, like I said, I would love for them to be giving out more free samples, but I understand that that's probably not easy to do outside of security, where you could have all sorts of people coming in just for the free booze. Maybe inside security, they need another stand, even if it's only seasonal, that is doling out free samples and making sure that leads to sales of bottles and that sort of thing.
Yeah. You know what I think would be great is if they had the sampling stand set up right by the baggage carousels while you're waiting as you get off the plane in Okinawa, because then you're
That's
going to
not a
spend
bad
money
idea
while you're
either.
there. Well, it is for the
Yep.
people renting cars, but apart from that, it's fun.
Yep. Absolutely.
So that sounds a lot like what it reminded me as you talked about it was the Satsuma Shochu bar inside the Shinkansen ticket gate at Kagoshima Chuo Station. There's a legit shochu bar that has really, really affordable shochu by the glass, and they have 150, 200 brands
probably. There's a lot there,
and
yeah.
and it's like 200 to 400 yen, maybe 500 for something really limited. And I remember when I went to Kagoshima for the first time with Seikai Ishizuka, he and I got off the Shinkansen. We'd come down from Fukuoka. Before we even left the ticket gate, they had some satsuma age, some snacks. We had a couple snacks and a couple of glasses of shochu. And then we went to lunch at Yataimura because it's about a 10-minute walk or 5-minute walk from the station. So my very first experience was at that Kagoshima Yataimura and that shochu bar. So it's cool that they've got that in Okinawa now as well with this bar in the airport.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Any other exciting discoveries on your Okinawa tour?
Yeah, I mean, lots in both in terms of the retail or the on-premise experience, and in terms of just general movements in the industry. But I think I need to share a couple of those with you offline before we start throwing that information out to the public. But anyways, yeah, things are feeling better here in Japan in terms of the amount of commerce that's transpiring. Naha was alive with tourism. Of course, this was right around Obon, and Okinawa observes Q Obon or the lunar calendar Obon, I guess is one way to put it. I'm probably screwing this up a little bit, but their Obon is technically the 3 days preceding the rest of Japan's Obon. So it was a long, very, very active time during in Naha over the past week. And so it was interesting to see how many people are all systems go. They're suffering from the same labor shortage issues as everyone else, but things feel very, very, very much back in order, or at least back in action. And there are new businesses popping up, and there are new exciting things to be done there, which is great. Yeah. So let's see. Do we have a few more just before we close out here? And we do still have Bottle Kill newly open to talk about. But are there any other comments that we want to address quickly before we
actually had a bunch of comments about Shochu education courses.
Okay.
And the Shochu Advisor course, for example, from Sake School of America is available currently. I guess we can tease a little bit that there may be something coming. We're not quite there yet, but we've been working on this basically since before COVID started, trying to get something together that will provide what we consider a up-to-date and ready to consume shochu education for both consumers and trade. Right, we want something that's facing to people who just love these drinks and want to know more about them, and then also for people who actually work in the drinks industry and would like to be more effective at selling these drinks or explaining these drinks to customers. So we're working on both of those educational experiences simultaneously. And of course, as we mentioned before, and this is a little bit longer term, but there will probably be tourism opportunities as Japan opens up that we will be involved in. So lots and lots of things coming. Just a little teaser right at the end of the show. So you only get to know that stuff if you stick around until the very end. But exciting things coming. Obviously, Christopher and I have a lot on our plates, but we keep making progress on these things. And hopefully you guys will be able to experience them in the near future.
Yeah, absolutely. This is, I guess this question came up a couple of times. The Airbnb thing with me still a thing. Thank you for asking. It is not still a thing, but it could be, I suppose. If tourism reopens, I may occasionally do that just because it is a really effective way to get Shochu and Awamori in front of people who probably really only sign up because it says sake on the title, which I do justice to. I'm not going to lie. I'm no slouch in that department. I just don't advertise it. And so it could be. And I think... yeah, if Tokyo ever gets its act together, then we might do that again. And Airbnb won't leave me alone about it. So yeah.
And I actually recently met a executive at Airbnb at a business event here in Fukuoka. So I may be persuaded to do something similar down here. So there might be multiple opportunities like that.
Are they going to open up experiences in Fukuoka?
Being discussed.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a really, really interesting conversation. Airbnb has made some pretty big shifts with changes in how people travel, and it was exciting to hear about. And also there's optimism about Japan opening up again, which seems to be the case generally with a lot of airlines now announcing resumption of flights to Japan, international airlines resuming flights to Japan in the autumn. So it's coming, folks. It's coming.
Yeah. Thank you for your patience.
Yeah.
And make sure that your passport is up to date.
Yeah.
Cool.
And bring lots of money. The economy needs it.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
the dollar's strong right now. Dollar's strong against the yen, so it's not the worst time to come visit. I still use a U.S. credit card to purchase things, and I am sometimes just shocked when I see the sticker price in Japan, because I'm used to doing the math in my head as 100 yen equals $1.
Yeah, right.
That's basically the easy way to do it. But then I run the credit card and then I see it on the bill and I was like, wow, that was much more affordable than it was 3 months ago.
Yeah.
So good time to buy stuff with American dollars while in Japan.
Especially if you have a card with no currency transaction fee.
Yep.
Use that to no end. And
it's
actually easier now to use plastic than it ever has been, which is
it's
nice.
actually preferred a lot of places.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are places where you can only use plastic.
Yeah, unfortunately, that new Awamori place in the airport doesn't allow plastic yet, so it's cash only. Brand new place, cash only. But yeah, hey, baby steps.
Yeah, sure. That's a great point though for for travel tips, which is how we started the show, is yeah, get an international credit card that has no international transaction fees. I use a U.S. travel card, but it's for international travelers, and that's still my preferred card here in Japan. And I can pay in dollars or in yen, so I can pay in local currency or in dollars. It's actually better for me to pay in local currency because the credit card company is going to get a better transaction rate than what the shops are offering, or that the internal Japanese Visa companies are charging. Anyway, this isn't Travel Tuesday. This is Shochu'sday.
Yeah, it is Shochu'sday. So what's newly opened in your
This is a fun one. I'm just going to hold this up at first.
Oh, okay.
You familiar with this guy?
I am. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So this came.
Huh?
Yeah. This is a chestnut shochu, and the box says Shimanto Mysterious Reserve. It's a 33% chestnut shochu. The mash bill is 25% rice koji, 25% barley, and 50% chestnuts.
Wow. Yeah.
And it's been aged for an indeterminate amount of time. And I don't know if that's just because it's been in this pot for a while, but the paper's a little old, little worn. I need to do more research on it, but it's got some almost acidity and some funk to it. And it's 33% alcohol, which I thought was an interesting ABV choice. So
it is.
This was a gift for a favor I did to a friend of mine, or for a friend of mine. I didn't do anything to him. And I was really, really pleasantly surprised. Very, very interesting drink. It actually almost was reminiscent of your Tokyo shochu, the stuff off on the far-flung islands with the wild fermentations and everything. It's a really, really interesting drink. How about you?
No, I've been out of town for 10 days, so I don't have anything new. I didn't open anything new last night after I got back.
Gotcha.
Obviously didn't
Makes
drink
sense.
at all last night after I got back, which is rare. So yeah, nothing from me this weekend. Probably just as well because we're already past the 30-minute mark, and we are trying to keep this to half an hour. So
Yeah.
good. That was a fun one. Information packed. Lots
thanks for all
of
the questions,
comments,
everyone.
which we love. Yeah. Thank you for the interaction, everybody. And we're gonna sign off for now. We'll be back next week, same time, same place, with another edition of Shochu'sday, episode number 118. Steven will be in the States at that time, so I don't know.
I will be.
Tentatively, we're gonna pencil you in, but we need to look at the schedule more closely. So
Yeah, I will actually be in the town that I grew up in, so I think it would be pretty fun if we can do one from there. I just don't know what my actual schedule will be. It might be good to have a backup, and maybe I can give you a summary when I'm back in Japan. Not sure.
Okay.
We'll think about it.
Yeah, over the next 6 weeks, you're gonna have a lot. We're gonna have a lot of stand-in guests. I think is how this is probably gonna work.
Right.
Just to make sure that we're bringing you the most energetic and useful content possible, and not me out, on my knees in the street with propping up my phone on the side of a police car like I've done before. To participate, with all of the street traffic noise behind it. So we'll do a better job this year, I hope.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Absolutely.
thank you everybody for your time, and to everybody out there around the world, from both of us here in Japan, a very hearty and heartfelt Kanpai.
Kanpai.